What's up, everyone? Kevin Walsh, Jersey, Joe Archino, back here, New York Sports Machines soccer updates. We're going to, a little bit stuff here that's going on in the United States, but we're really going to be focusing in on one player today. The player who has just, the world at his hands right now, being, I believe it's only 23 years of age, finished top 3 in Ballon d'Or. Obviously, we're talking about Neymar. And he just, I think, some reporter got a really nice interview out of him, and he spoke about Pep Guardiola and also going back to Brazil and the United States. We'll start with the Pep Guardiola rumor. I recently just did something on this and saying that now the Pep Guardiola sweepstakes that's really being led by the two Manchester clubs could also become the Pep Guardiola Neymar sweepstakes, because if he really does want to play with Pep, and both City and United have clearly mentioned they really want Neymar, this could be a pair that would just dominate world football, for a decent amount of time. So I ask you, your thoughts on that.
It's very interesting because I think if there's a player in the world right now that is kind of at that next step of catching Messi, it's Neymar. And I think it's paid so many dividends, the fact that he's been able to learn under Messi. And clearly, we were talking about this off the air a little bit. The relationship that these guys have is unbelievable. And when Neymar was at the Ballon d'Or and he was speaking about how he's learned from Messi and how much he respects the way he works and just the little way that he does things, I think that speaks volumes. And we look at Pep Guardiola right now, and it's kind of interesting what's going to happen if Jose Mourinho, there are reports he wrote that 6-page letter expressing desire for the Man United job. So if that domino falls, that makes it a little bit more interesting for Manchester City. Look, I think in the world football, there are 3 managers who are just a cut above the rest. There's Jose Mourinho, there's Pep Guardiola, and there's Carlo Ancelotti. The 3 of those guys are just the best of the best. We know where Ancelotti's going, kind of replacing Pep. Pep is one of those guys where he really just connects with everybody. I mean, you never hear anybody say a bad thing. Mourinho, he rubs some guys the wrong way. He's a great coach, but sometimes he really is. It's difficult to sustain him for a while. And Carlo's just a top of them all. But, I think if he goes anywhere, it's so tempting for a guy like Neymar, because Messi speaks nothing but good things about him, and Neymar wants to be the guy. He really does.
I think one of a phrase that I've kind of took from you, and you did a podcast on it yesterday about players who get it, and you said Blake Griffin doesn't get it, Johnny Manziel doesn't get it. We've now come to learn that it seems like Cam Newton, he gets it. Neymar is a guy that gets it.
Yes.
He really does, and I think that's why these clubs want him so badly. You mentioned him being able to learn from Messi, and Messi says all these good things. Neymar knows how to pay respects to those who have came before him and those who are the leaders. All these players get to vote for, the Ballon d'Or and the FIFA Pro 11, things like that. Normally, the top players, they don't kind of vote for one another. They just kind of leave that alone. Well, Neymar voted for Messi because he pays the respects that Messi has earned. And I think that's why these clubs desire him so greatly. Also, the fact that he's amazing and 23.
That doesn't hurt.
I mean, obviously. But I do wonder if this, I don't think, and a part of him getting it is I don't think he goes to Real Madrid.
No.
I don't think that he would do that. I do think that the move would be a Premier League move to either of the Manchesters. And I wonder, Man City, it's obvious. They have Manuel Pellegrini there right now, and they want Pep.
Yes.
It's that simple.
It's you can't write it any easier.
Manchester United, we want Pep. Oh, we kind of want to promote Ryan Giggs. Oh, well, Mourinho's tempting. It's not. You're not sure what's going on over there. So I wonder if Manchester City might have the clearer path towards getting maybe the 2 biggest stars in regards to coaching wise and player wise right now that we have in world football. The other 2 places though that Neymar has said that he wants to go play. The first is he wants to go back to Brazil. Obviously started his career at Santos. Amazing there. And I think it says a lot, too, about how these Brazilian players pay respects to their country. We see a lot of the greats always speak about their time in Brazil or how they would love to go back to Brazil and people paying respects to their roots. And I could, you can see down the end of the line, Neymar making the move back to Santos to play there to give those fans a year or 2 of that. But the more interesting one, especially for guys like me and you and all the Brazilians who live here in the States, is that he said that it would be really fun to go and play in the United States, that the MLS is a growing league, and he would really gravitate towards a move there. Obviously, the talks about a player like Ronaldo coming in. I just, your thoughts on a guy like Neymar maybe now coming over here.
I don't think there's any question about it. There was an interview a couple, maybe 2 weeks ago, where Andre Pirlo said, look, I was surprised when I came over here how competitive this league was. He said what the league lacks in the technical side, it makes up for in the speed side. And now let's be honest, Andre Pirlo is one of the greatest the game has ever seen. I think that endorsement from him really means a lot. And if you watched him for New York City FC, you could kind of tell there were times where he was just not on the same page with people. But that's because playing in Europe for so long with that technical skill set, the other players that you're playing with are going to be not really at that same level. But his words saying that, and I think it's easy to look at Steven Gerrard, what he did, making the move to the Galaxy. Kaká, what he's doing with Orlando City FC. You have new teams expanding. Right. The league is growing tremendously. I think the biggest endorsement of all was Frank Lampard, Andre Pirlo, and David Villa. You have a super team of stars who have done it on the European stage. You have superstars who are continuing to come over. Guys like Sebastian Giovinco for Toronto help it tremendously. The league is probably in the best place it's ever been. And I think Ronaldo, I think guys like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, when they're kind of around that 37 age mark like Frank Lampard, why wouldn't you come and play here for a little while and still play really good football?
And I think it's nice to see the notion of the MLS kind of change. It was at once called a retirement home.
Yeah.
This is where people just come to collect checks. But it's changed. I do believe that the biggest signing of all time the MLS has ever seen was David Beckham. And I think that's quite obvious.
Changed the league's history.
But
completely.
I do believe that the second biggest ever is Sebastian Giovinco.
Yes.
Because a lot of these legends have followed in his path, but Giovinco came here in his prime. Left Juventus in his prime, and you saw what he did. I mean, Giovinco was on another level every time the ball was at his feet here. And I'm not saying we're going to get Neymar in his prime. No. But what I'm saying is I think that we're going to start to see some players come here in their prime to really elevate their skills and bring themselves to the next level while still having those legends come over here and kind of, still showcase how good they are and bring excitement to the league. And I think you'll see that from Ronaldo. And I think one of the biggest things is going to be the LAFC and if David Beckham does open a team down in Miami. And I think that would really attract Ronaldo. And I think that can really attract Zlatan Ibrahimovic as well as Neymar. I think that's great for the MLS. And I think it's really exciting for Neymar because I think at such a young age, he gets it. And he knows that the world's at his fingertips. If he wants to play for Barcelona for the rest of his life, he can. If he wants to go to any Premier League team, he can. If he wants to go back to Brazil, the United States, if he wants to go take a trip over to Denmark, it doesn't matter. He can do what he wants, but he's going to do it with class, respect, and just a bit of flair to make sure that you tune in every time.
One final thing I did want to say, though, is you made the great point where you're saying about how much he respects Messi and how much he learns from him. There was an interview a couple weeks ago where Messi said, I would like to play back in Argentina before it's all said and done. Now Neymar comes out, and what does he say he wants to? He'd like to go back and play in Brazil. The two of them are really so similar. Neymar's had a couple controversial moments early, but so did Messi. I think they learned so much from each other. It's so telling when you just line up everything about the two guys. They're very similar. They really are.
And I think too, when we can close on this, a player of Neymar's talent, sometimes you don't really need to kind of always get the wiser guy to give you that information because you kind of say, hey, listen, I got this.
What I'm doing kind of works.
I know what I got to do. And could Neymar be successful that way? Yes. But would he be where he's at right now without that attitude that he has? I don't believe so. And I think that is really what has helped him become one of the best in the world, and I do believe soon to be the best in the world.
I agree 100%. You heard people say this was Neymar's first taste of the Ballon d'Or. He didn't win it, but he's 100%. He'll walk away with multiple ones. He's just, when you this summer watching Copa America, you just watch the things he does. And Ray Hudson said, the only other player I think who could do this wears the number 10 for Barcelona, and that's 100% true. This is the next incarnation of Messi. He is so much fun to watch. Whoever gets him, if he stays with Barca, if he goes to Man City, you're gonna win for a long, long time with this guy because they don't come around very often.
Barca, Manchester's, United States, Brazil.
Maybe Man City.
Everyone is going to be waiting on it. Neymar, it is your decision, and we're going to make sure we cover it all here on the New York Sports Machine. If he is interested in any of your clubs, comment down below. Let us know what you think about the move for Neymar. If you're a Barcelona fan, if you want him to stay. If you're a Real Madrid fan, if you think you got a chance at this, let us know down below in the comment sections. Kevin Walsh, Jersey Joe Archino. We'll see you guys next time.